So I wanted to do something a little bit different in today's video. If you are a regular on this channel, you know that the topics we tend to cover are social media, video, web design, communication, and how you and your church can take these timely mediums and use them to share the timeless message of Christ, helping you navigate the biggest communication shift in 500 years. And of course, developing these skills is important, but of greater importance overall is your well-being. And as someone who's been at this for about 10 years now, who leads a team, who's built up an organization from scratch, I often get asked about my own habits and rhythms of life. And so today, as I am just about a few weeks away now from turning 30 years old, I wanted to dedicate a video to the most important thing I've learned as a creative professional serving in the church world over the past decade, and pass it on to you. So let's dive in. Well, hey there, I'm Brady Shearer. This is Pro Church Tools, and we're not gonna do the normal intro because we already talked a bit about it. But do follow me on Instagram and TikTok. The handle for both of those is just my name, @Brady Shearer, and that's where I'm posting my most timely content. Also, if you want to go through our social media workshop, it is introductory, it is foundational for you doing social in your church. We'll have that linked below also. Now, let me start off by briefly sharing a bit about my own story. It's not something I talk about often, but it's relevant to what we're discussing today. So I went to college to be a student pastor, graduated with my degree in theology and youth ministry, but it was in my second year of Bible college that I got hired to be a 20-hour per week intern at a new church plant where my official title was media director. Now, I had basically no real creative skills at the time, but my lead pastor believed in me. He put a camera in my hand, a Canon T3i, and basically just said, go do the things. And so from that point on, I became obsessed with digital media, videography, social, web, communication, and basically proving my senior leadership right that I could spearhead these kinds of things in our church. And it was through this process that I began to reflect, look at my peers in my school, my friends that would go on to be worship pastors, lead pastors in smaller churches where they'd be the only person on staff, and of course youth pastors. And it became clear to me that the skills that I was developing were the same skills they would need, because the leadership at their future churches would inevitably task them with responsibilities like social media or video editing, if for no other reason than because they were younger. And so out of that came the idea for Pro Church Tools. I started creating YouTube videos, podcasts, and blog posts, basically just teaching everything that I was learning. I started as a newlywed, still in Bible college, still on staff at my church, and freelancing on the side as well to make our budget make sense. My wife and I were in a one-bedroom apartment at the time. She worked insurance. Fast forward to today, and our company has a team of about 15, from software engineers to product designers, customer support, creative professionals. Our software product, Nucleus, is used by thousands of churches around the world, and our company has remained bootstrapped and profitable since its first year of formation. And, naturally, there's so much more of my story that I can't share in a single video, but as I reflect on this first decade of leading a company, there's one discipline that I've developed that stands out, and in typical Brady Shearer fashion, I've turned it into a spreadsheet. So allow me to share with you my Habits of Joy Google Sheet. Now, I've made a blank copy of this available to you in the description below, so you can download this and make it your own. But basically, what you're looking at are the daily disciplines that I adhere to make sure that I'm functioning at my best. I've been informally doing many of these things for much of my 20s, but it's only been in the last 8 months or so that I've been formally tracking them all in one place at one time. And the results for me through that time have been considerable. And that's also why I call this spreadsheet Habits of Joy, because it's these daily habits, these daily rhythms that most attribute to my body, mind, and spirit feeling their best. So let's go through each of these habits of joy on my spreadsheet. Most are pretty self-explanatory. We've got prayer, eating whole foods, stretching, drinking a gallon of water, a daily walk, taking my vitamins and supplements, 8 or more hours of sleep, my AM/PM hygiene routine, which includes brushing, flossing, skincare, etc., and resistance training, aka lifting in the gym. Now, depending on your own daily rhythms, this may look like a lot to you or not so much, and everyone's gonna differ here. But what I can say about myself and what I've learned about Brady through my 20s is that I am it seems anyway, more sensitive to things like poor diet, poor sleep, poor movement than most are. It's very difficult for me to be present and productive in my life when those things are suffering. So for me to be my best, for Pro Church Tools, for my wife, daughter, friends, family, I need to first be taking care of myself. It's the classic put on your own breathing mask before helping the person next to you on the airplane analogy. There's another thing that this spreadsheet does for me though that is actually more powerful, I think, than just helping me feel my best, and that is it helps keep my mind focused on process rather than results. And if I could distill the most important thing I've learned in my 20s to just one sentence, it would be channeling your energy upon the process, not the results. Now, why is this important? Well, first and foremost, you and I have immensely more control over process than we do results. And that sense of agency, I've found, is a huge asset to achieving your goals. As a practical example, I could have a goal to achieve a certain level of fitness, and perhaps my desired result is a number on the scale or a certain percentage of body fat. Or maybe it's more abstract than that. Maybe I just want to feel my best or be healthier. Well, I can influence those results, but I can't expressly control them fully, at least not on a day-to-day basis, which means on days where I feel like my efforts aren't contributing to the results that I want to see, I'm more likely to give up or to feel discouraged because my sense of agency will feel like it's gone or diminished. I feel like I'm doing the right things, but they're not working. I can't control this. Now I'm on the road to giving up or even making choices that actually work against what I say my desired results are. So how do we fix this? By focusing on what we can control and ensuring that sense of agency is less likely to be taken away from us. Focus on the process, not the result. And by the way, this can be especially helpful and useful during a global pandemic as we all come to the realization that things that we've always thought were in our control were in fact not. So, on my Habits of Joy spreadsheet, you'll only find items that I am in direct control of. Basically, the Habits of Joy spreadsheet is my measurement of process, because I have control over process, whereas I can only influence results. Now, this might seem like a subtle difference, but it's not, and here's why. Most things in life that are worth doing take a long time. Now, we all know this. But to achieve these kinds of things, you need to remain vigilant for months at a time, often years, maybe even decades. It requires discipline. And one thing I didn't know in my early 20s that I know now is that willpower cannot help you with these kinds of goals. It's too finite. It won't last the duration of time needed to accomplish those kinds of goals. So you can't rely on willpower to get you there. And you also can't fix your gaze on the final result because it's just too far away. And sure, you can influence the outcome, but there are so many other variables that are also influencing that outcome beyond your control. So what can you do? You can dedicate yourself to the daily process over the variables where you have near 100% agency. And this doesn't just work for your own personal health, mind, body, spirit, let's say. It has professional applications too. We recently surpassed 100,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel, and the first video I published on this channel was 8 years ago. And guess what? Willpower doesn't last 8 years. I did not start this YouTube channel one day and say, okay, I want to reach 100,000 subscribers. That's the goal. Let's do it. That wouldn't have sustained me over 8 years. So instead, I committed to the process of publishing videos consistently. That's what I focused on over and over again, because that's something that I had complete control over. Now, there's a quote on my wall in my office at home that I wrote in chalk, and it's often attributed to Bill Gates, sometimes called Gates's Law. It says, most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. And it's there as a reminder for me as I enter my 30s, because my goals for this next decade are much greater than my last decade. I'm very privileged to say that I accomplished a ton in my 20s. I married the love of my life, and we've been married 9 years this May, so we did our entire 20s together. We've got a daughter turning 6 years old in just a couple of weeks. I started a business from scratch, which gave me complete control over my time and how I choose to spend it. I hired a bunch of my friends. Now we get to spend our working days creating things with people we love. My family and I moved into our dream home. I've traveled to some amazingly cool places. I went to every single MLB stadium in my 20s, as one example. But most importantly, highlights aside, I'm very happy and fulfilled on a day-to-day basis, and I'm so grateful to say that. A physics professor named Albert Allen Bartlett famously said that the greatest shortcoming of the human race is our inability to understand the exponential function. And you might be most familiar with this idea if you've ever looked at a retirement or investment savings calculator where over the years and the decades, it's not the initial deposits and the money you're putting in that's doing the heavy lifting, but the interest your initial deposits earned, and then the interest compounded on that interest, compounded over and over and over again. The Habits of Joy spreadsheet works in the same way. By doing the ordinary important things every single day for weeks, months, years, and decades, you're building the foundation needed to sustain, and eventually, these habits compound and compound. So what should you put in your Habits of Joy spreadsheet? Well, like I said, it's linked in the description below, so you can make it your own. At the bottom of the doc, you'll see a sheet titled, Write Your Habits in Here. So you'll want to fill that in yourself. It will then auto-populate in the tracker sheet. As for what you actually put there, a helpful exercise that I found was asking myself, if what you did today was multiplied for a year, what would your life look like? Or if what you did today was multiplied for a decade, what would your life look like? You'd be a different person for sure. But in what direction? Are you closer to the man or woman that you want to be, or further away? You know, a lot of us have big God dreams, ways we'd love to bring heaven to earth, big hopes for the future, and those are great, they really are. But seeing those become reality starts with something like this, laying the foundation for your own body, mind, and spirit to ensure that you're the kind of person who could actually see that dream become reality. And it's easy to become fixed on those dreams and neglect our ordinary day-to-day responsibilities. But that's the paradox, because my belief is that the best path to seeing those God dreams become reality is by dedicating yourself to the everyday habits and rhythms that you can directly control. Thanks as always for your time, attention, and trust. Make sure to download that blank Habits of Joy spreadsheet and make it your own. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. As for a happy birthday present that you could give me, just hit the thumbs up button on this video, all right? Good deal. I appreciate you as always. We'll talk soon.